Hi everyone, welcome to the community classroom. This is Dr. Tracey McCarthy, psychologist, attorney, and educator, and we are going to quickly go over the law and legal sources so that you understand the distinction between primary and secondary legal sources as you are doing research, particularly in the area of restorative justice. If this video appears on anything other than Dr. Tracey McCarthy, it is stolen and unauthorized. Now, many people do not know about the origins of American law, so we're just going to quickly go over the roots of American law. Where did it come from? Essentially, American law came out of England and also out of France, particularly when you're talking about Louisiana, because they also follow the Napoleonic Code. Another place that American law came from, and many people might be surprised by this, but it all came from ecclesiastical law coming out of the Bible, focusing on Exodus, Leviticus, and Deuteronomy. So if you look in scripture, you will find all sorts of parallels between American law and the Bible. Now, there are two broad categories for you to think about in terms of sources that you might be using in terms of the law. And so you have to also remember that sources in the law, they vary from sources from other disciplines. And so you may hear people use the term primary sources, and primary sources in history, anthropology, sociology, those sources vary from primary sources for the law. And this is really important to keep in mind. Otherwise, people will think that they have a primary source in terms of the law when what they might have is something known as a secondary source. So let's focus on primary legal sources, also known as the law. Okay, so in terms of the law, what you want to focus on when you're doing research on the law, you want to focus on things such as judicial law, common law, and legislation. And so the things you want to focus on are things such as judicial orders, court decisions, federal and state regulations, constitutions, treaties, statutes, and ordinances. You also want to focus on what are known as executive orders, and these come from the president. Now, it's important to focus on primary sources when you are trying to find something that is actually controlling. And so the law is controlling and everything else is ancillary. Now, you also have something known as secondary legal sources. Now, these things are influential in terms of influencing the law and legal processes, but they are not controlling. And some of those things include things that have legal analysis or theoretical analysis, legal commentary. There are also the books known as the restatements. And so you have like the restatement of torts, the restatement of contracts. And these are great because they help you to understand what the law actually is and what it is saying. And so they've already done some of the analysis for you. Additional things that are not law and not binding are legal periodicals. However, these provide significant legal analysis of a variety of legal topics. And what you will find are law journals, legal newspapers, legal periodicals, and you'll have articles that describe, analyze the law. They will talk about the current state of the law or the government. And what you'll also find is that every law school has a law journal. And inside of the law journals are articles either related to a particular area of law or they may be very general. And so you'll have like the Harvard Law Review, Mississippi Law Journal, Penn State Law Review, and then you have topical ones like the Journal of International Family Law. Now, journals are great because they also tend to incorporate other disciplines, and so you'll see a lot of interdisciplinary dynamics going on related to law journals. Now, legal dictionaries provide great resources, but it's important to remember that legal dictionaries, they are not law, they are not controlling. Again, they provide great resources. They are great for getting legal definitions and legal word usage. You can also do a lot of Latin translation in terms of words and phrases related to law and equity. And they also provide great examples in terms of legal abbreviations. You can find all sorts of acronyms in terms of the law. Now, there is a standard legal dictionary that most attorneys use, and it's called Black's Law Dictionary. It's not for Black people. It's not about Black issues. That's the name of the actual dictionary. And so another important thing to remember is that you can use the definitions in the legal dictionaries to help guide your research and your thinking and your analysis, but it's important to remember that these things are not binding, and so they are just definitions, just like any other dictionary would be. And so what you want to focus on is the law, not the law dictionaries. And similar to legal dictionaries, you also have legal encyclopedias. It's important to remember that just with the legal dictionaries, the encyclopedias are also not controlling and they are not law. So when you are looking for law, you need to focus on the law. However, the legal encyclopedias are great in terms of getting commentary related to both state and federal law, and you can see broad overviews in terms of different areas of the law. And there are two major legal encyclopedias that you might want to consider, and you can find them at law school libraries. You can also find them at major public libraries, and you have AmJur and Corpus Juris Secundum. And as we wrap this up, another note to consider is that treaties are very important in terms of the law. And so as long as they are not in conflict with the Constitution, they are considered on par with the Constitution in many ways. And so it's important to remember the importance of treaties. Hopefully this information was helpful. Remember, knowledge is power. Take care.